Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Hope this video finds you well, however it finds you. I'm your host, Uncle P, back with another episode, The Uncle P Show. Um, it is Thursday morning, September 11th. What's that, 24-year anniversary of 9/11. Um, kind of fitting for the news that we had yesterday evening leading into today. That's what I'm here to talk about. So I'm not even gonna waste your time. I want to talk about Charlie Kirk. So in today's episode, I'm just going to talk about first I want to talk about Charlie, his rise to prominence, notoriety, how he got here, what inspired him. Uh, then I want to talk about people like him. Um, you know, Then I also want to share some of my other thoughts just about the entire situation and just like how I feel about all the discourse surrounding it. And I'll have some opinions on Charlie. So yeah, that'll be on the rundown for today. But first, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Giving you episodes weekly. Uh, Uncle P Show. The original Not Safe for Work podcast with my host Snow and Juice. That'll be pumping out weekly. So be on the lookout for that. Turn all your notifications on YouTube, and yeah. So Charlie Kirk died yesterday. He was at a speaking engagement at the University of Utah. Um, Utah Valley. I don't know. Speaking engagement. He actually had just kicked off his tour. For those of you who don't really know, Charlie Kirk is like a political activist. Um, no, Charlie Kirk is a con, is a conservatist activist. Am I even saying this word right? He's an activist for conservatism, not necessarily politics. Charlie Kirk is 31 years old at the time he died, from Chicago. Was a teenager in the Obama administration. Um, Now, Charlie Kirk did a lot of speaking engagements, willing to debate people, willing to talk to people who had differing opinions. You're going to see a lot of that lately. Charlie Kirk was a man who was willing to get up on the stand and like just, he would try to come off as like someone who was open to disagreements and stuff like that, but not really. Charlie Kirk was a man who would go up there on his platform. And he would just lie. He would just spew misinformation. He would just say things that he knew would have someone emotionally charged, specifically minorities, people of color, like things like that. And he was just like, he was a rage baiter, for lack of a better term. For those of you who use Twitter chronically online, you know what the term rage baiter means. I mean, it's self-explanatory. You say things that you know would upset groups of people like no question, like it's going to upset them. Um, and he just was a guy who would do that, who would peddle that kind of rhetoric, and he was just a guy who would like just hang his hat on like, oh, it's just debate, differing opinions. But that's Charlie was doing a little bit more than that. He did not just have a differing opinion. What Charlie did was enrage a lot of people who come from minority groups, a lot of people who are directly affected by systemic racism. He would go after those people. He would try to enrage those people. Now, Charlie grew up under the Obama administration, so he was a teenager as Obama was becoming, I think so Obama won his first term in 2008. So that would be like what, like 13 years ago. Charlie Kirk was 31. So that would have had him at like 16, 17 years old. So he grew up under the Obama administration. From my research, he loved Rush Limbaugh. And we all know who Rush Limbaugh was. Another guy who's like conservatively charged, had a lot of views that were not in favor of minorities, black people, women, anything like that. White man for white. He was a white man for white men. you know, I'm not even gonna say white people because they don't even respect their women. Um, yes, he loved Rush Limbaugh so much that he would even go and listen to Rush Limbaugh by himself at lunch like a fucking loser, whatever. Um, and then he started going to Tea Party events. For those of you who don't know, Tea Party events are basically just, re Republican events for the lack of a better term. Um, and they say at first, he wasn't sure if he would get into politics out of high school, but all he knew is he wanted to talk. Because, like I said, he favored Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh was a talker. Rush Limbaugh was a guy who did not like Obama, loved Bush, loved everything about conservatism, right-wing culture. Like Rush Limbaugh was like the pioneer of this shit. Like Rush Limbaugh was Trump before Trump. And that's who Charlie looked up to. He loved him. But like Charlie, Rush Limbaugh wasn't necessarily into politics. He wasn't a politician. He was just a radio host, speaker, whatever. So Charlie wasn't sure if that was his lane. But after going to a lot of events, speaking engagements, talking, for what it's worth, he was a brilliant guy. Most people his age, he was only 31 when he died, and when he started going to these events, he was still very, very young. And not for nothing, most people his age, they aren't that well read, well spoken. So he definitely had some talent. I don't want to say too much. I'm sure he has some redeeming qualities. 'Cause like I said, like I'm trying to get into talking for a living, like so, and he was good at that. So after being good at that, he would eventually get on Trump's radar. Um, but not just Donald Trump, like his family. So first, Don Jr. reached out. He showed some interest. And next thing you know, Charlie becomes an assistant to Trump's oldest son, taking over his social media and his schedule. So like I said, like Charlie, now he's rising. Like like this isn't normal for people to like link with politicians of the free world and like, advise them, give them advice, manage their schedule, just shit like that. Tells you two things. One, it tells you just like how stellar he was in his lane, but it also tells you what the Trump administration was looking for to help, bolster their base. Like if you can just find someone like Charlie and then like give him a job, a guy who not into politics or anything like that, that just goes to show you like what they're about. So that's all I'll say there, really. So so then he goes on, he met Donald Trump Jr. He didn't meet Donald Trump until 2017, and Trump loved him. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, why does Trump love him? Why do they need Trump? Trump needed Charlie and others like Charlie, especially for this go round, because Trump needed to bolster his base, and he needed to do that by getting young people. He didn't have a lot of young people when he first ran in 2000, well, when he first won in 2016. He didn't have a lot of young people, but he still won, because for what it's worth, I don't think this country's still not ready for a woman president. So, um, because I think Hillary should have won. She was credible, but whatever. I'm not gonna get into that. Charlie Kirk was a youth organizer. So obviously he spoke at a lot of colleges and things like that, reaching out to 18 to 22-year-olds, formative years. That's the years when you first, become legalized and ready to vote or whatever. So Charlie was tapped into that sector of people, right wing, conservative, uh, Republican young people whose parents are Republicans, but they might be on the fence or they don't really care about politics, they're in the middle. I always say the worst place to be is in the middle. Um, so Charlie was able to tap into that crowd, and for what it's worth, he got that crowd to turn out and come vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump knew that Charlie was important for him even before he won the election with Charlie's help. So in 2017, Trump met Charlie and that's pretty much all she wrote after that. Charlie's rise to power grew and grew more and more every day. He would speak more and more every day. And I'm sure if you look at his social media accounts, you can see all the rhetoric and agendas he was pushing, man. Charlie was a bad, for what I think he was a bad person. Like, I'm gonna try to watch my words carefully so I don't get flagged or anything. This is new territory for me. Um, but for what it's worth, I think Charlie Kirk was a bad person who spewed dangerous rhetoric. And he ultimately got back what he pushed out. Because one thing I have written down here, yeah, so Charlie was extremely radical. And if it's one thing that I know about being radical on one side, it breeds radicalism from the other side. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, Charlie Kirk may not have been willing to kill somebody as the same way somebody killed him, but I guarantee you if a left-leaning liberal politician dies the same way, I guarantee you Charlie Kirk's reaction is not mournful. It's not about peace and blessings. Charlie Kirk wouldn't spit on you as a black person if you were on fire and dying. He would not even spit on you to get the flame out. He wouldn't piss on you. If you were on fire inside of his house while it was raining, Charlie Kirk would shut the door, leave you inside, and stand outside and soak until his house burnt down. That's the type of person I believe Charlie Kirk to be. So I'm not about to sit up here and get on my high horse and act self-righteous like violence is never the answer. Sometimes violence is the answer. Charlie Kirk was dangerous. So like I said, I'm trying to watch my words carefully, but when did conservatism become counterculture? You know, like, and what I mean by that is like for the longest, like even when we were growing up, I'm 29, when I was growing up, the media, the culture, everything was towards like Republican conservatism. But I grew up in the Bush administration into the Obama administration. And when Obama became president, you started to see a lot of this stuff become bred, like conservatism, like far right wing conservatism. But I really want to know, when did this become like counterculture? And I say that because people like him don't have much if they can't counter something. They don't stand for anything in a vacuum. It's not like, so the only reason why they're pro-life is because people believe in abortions and want to be able to have abortions, so that makes him pro-life. The reason why he's pro-gun is because people see what's going on with gun violence and things like that, and how easy it is to get a AR-15 and all these school shootings and stuff. But Charlie Kirk is like, pro-gun. Basically, Charlie Kirk and his followers and people like Charlie Kirk, they don't stand for anything on their own. They don't, like, you'll never hear them say, man, we need to be doing this. We need to stop doing this. Their only stance is in direct conflict or counter to what some of us left-leaning people are standing for. They never stand for anything on their own, you know? Like they have nothing to stand on in his own right, just rivaling opinions. My shirt fucked up. That's all they have. And people like that are just weak and they aren't free thinkers. They don't stand for shit and they honestly do not push the country in a better place. All they want to do is divide and argue, enrage, debate, and not for nothing. They just want engagement, man. Like engagement equals currency nowadays. Um, so like that's Charlie Kirk's rise and how I feel about Charlie Kirk. Um, just very dangerous. A lot of people are asking, like, is this an act of political violence? This is not an act of political violence. Charlie Kirk was not a politician. He wasn't a state senator. He wasn't running for council. He wasn't a mayor. He wasn't any of that. Charlie Kirk was just a man. He was a youth. He was just a man who could organize young right-wing people and he would just debate. That's how I feel. Like I don't like Charlie Kirk wasn't somebody who. Let me see if I can share my screen. Like Charlie wasn't like he wasn't anybody running for anything. He was enraging people. He was monetizing anger. And he was monetizing far right wing lunatics. That's what Charlie was doing. He was monetizing your attention, you far right wing lunatics. He wasn't anybody willing to go out on a limb and do anything. He just wanted to talk and argue. Just a parasite. I just want to share some other thoughts. I know I'm rambling, but I just gotta like, I like to generate conversation, man. Maybe those of you can watch this video and, come up with some other talking points and, reach out to me, DM me something. Um, it's just fascinating to see so many people speak out about Charlie's death and gun violence now, but were very silent every time before. Is it because of the actual video? Maybe, but I'm seeing a lot of my favorite football players, football accounts, journalists, some of my favorite white people, man, just going out like fucking Dan Orlovsky tweeting out Bible verses and shit. Like just very I don't know, man. Like I'm not surprised, I'm a little disappointed, but you just see a lot of like now people have compassion and empathy because Charlie Kirk died. Like I said, is it because it's on camera? Maybe, but it's like I don't think so, man. Like p kids die in school every week. These people have nothing to say about it. A U.S. senator died in her home. Like a real politician died in the night of her at her doorstep at home. You don't see anybody. You don't see those same people making tweets about it. Those people had nothing to say about George Floyd. Those people had nothing to say about the countless school shootings. But now that their Lord and Savior Charlie Kirk dies, now people want to show compassion and empathy. And speaking of empathy, I want to show y'all how Charlie Kirk felt about empathy. So let's go. Shit is disgusting, man. Yeah, Charlie didn't have a different opinion. He was a liar, a racist, a sexist, a loser, and an instigator, bro. Like, all in all, he was an instigator. The motherfucker died, and his last words were gang violence. Someone was trying to ask him a question about how many transgender people do you think were or contributed to mass shootings in America? This motherfucker says too many. The answer was five, right? The person speaking with Charlie was trying to give some perspective as to how crazy he sounds with some of the shit he was peddling. The answer was five mass shootings. Then they had a follow-up question. It was like, how many, mass shootings do you think have been in this country, period? Or something like that. And this motherfucker picks up his mic and says, counting or not counting gang violence. Just being so smug, just being dismissive, clearly has an agenda already because he cannot answer the question without having another question layered on top of it to, get his base riled up. Like, yeah, gang violence. The answer was 5,700, something like that for the year. So out of 5,000, so the person was trying to provide perspective, like, because people right now, the right wing nuts, they're like blaming mass shootings on like transgender people. Even if like they think that's the case, but it's like out of thousands and thousands of mass shootings, only five of them were committed by a transgender person. So it's like that's why I say he's a liar and it's dangerous, bro. Like where do you get off on saying that mass shootings are caused by transgender people, bro? Like you don't even have the facts to support it. That's why it's dangerous. I'm not gonna sit here and advocate for death on a public platform like YouTube, but what I will say is you cannot just say anything out of your mouth, man. Like you barked up the wrong tree, that tree will fall on you, bro. It's like you keep pressing buttons and pressing buttons and pressing buttons and raging people, lying, instigating, lying, pressing buttons. Like the chickens are going to come home to roost, bro. Like especially for him to be like willing to just go out in public like that, you know, um, willing to just go out in public and speak like that, just argue with those people. It's like I don't know what you expected. Like I feel like a lot of right white people think they have the yeah, you have free speech, but you're not free of consequences, and neither am I. Like if you say something that makes me mad that I don't agree with, and I do something to you, you're not free of consequences. And like I said, neither am I. If I do something to you because of something you said, something will happen to me as well. That's just how it goes. But in order to circumvent all of that, we have to be mindful of things that we say. We have to be mindful of the people we are enraging. And more importantly, we have to tell the truth. Like when you get up there and just lie and say things, I don't think you understand what that can like bring out of a person who just flat out doesn't agree with anything you said, and they flat out think what you're saying is dangerous. So you factor in me thinking you're dangerous with you lying, it's like, man, there's somebody out there who probably thinks like, yo, this has to stop. It has to. And I think somebody finally told themselves like, look, man, I'm gonna chill. What's to come? Will this breed more violence? I don't think so. Charlie was one of the few willing to rage bait outside in front of people who didn't like him. Like a lot of people who think and act like him, they don't really go outside and surround themselves with people who may not agree with anything they're saying, and even engage with them. Um, that's not really admirable or anything to me. Because like I said, it's not like he's going out there and standing on what he believes in. The motherfucker was just going out there and just flat out lying and pushing hate. So I don't think more violence will come out of this because I really think people who think like him, believe him, I think they're scared. I don't think these people are tough. I don't think these people are I don't think they're willing to go out and stand for it. Like I said in the beginning, they don't stand for shit no way. So why would I think that they're going to go out and like, promote some of the same rhetoric, push the same agendas in public, with people who don't agree with them or anything like that. That's just, I don't know. He was high on attention and never once thought he would be in any real danger. Like, I don't know, like how full of yourself you have to be to like know. Like, do y'all think he knows what he was saying wasn't the truth, or do you think after saying it so much you just start to believe it? Because if you have any presence of mind and you're knowing what you're doing, you should know at some point, like, man, something might happen to me or somebody's going to try. Like so he knew enough to have security detail. He was getting death threats, but I don't know why he would just go out there and just keep pushing that shit, man. Like just not being smart. Like, um, yeah, like I said, most people who share the same views as him don't speak as openly about it or even speak about it outside for thousands to see. They say what they gotta say on Twitter, TikTok, and they go on about their day. When they're outside, they get low, or they don't even like make their whole outside thing about that. Like Charlie Kirk went outside to push hate and talk this dumb shit. A lot of people would say the same shit online and TikTok, but when they go outside, it's like totally different story. Like they not there's very few people who share the same views as Charlie Kirk willing to go outside in front of thousands of people, potentially some people who are sending death threats. Like people who think and share the views of Charlie Kirk don't do that. Um, and like I said, he was also one of the few who could afford security and still died. Like so, I don't think anything is going to come of this. I think they're going to be mindful of what they say, or they'll just stop saying it, or they'll just stop doing it in a particular way. It might embolden more to misbehave online and talk crazy, but as far as like the shit he was doing out in public on those campuses, I don't know, man. I don't think anything is going to come of it. I don't think more violence will happen because in order for it to happen, more of those people have to go outside and speak how he was speaking. I don't think that'll be the case. Will they turn people up online? Sure, but outside of that, I don't think anything will happen. Let me see if I can find some tweets of this guy. Dear liberals, if guns are so bad, then why am I dead? Dead Facebook friend from high school still has Cartman profile picture. Yo, the onion is fucking crazy. Dead Facebook from bro, I'm crying. Are these niggas nuts? Pr- Bro, and this is even crazier. They made a petition to prevent him from speaking there. Went anyway and got killed. It's like, bro, he was probably he probably saw this and ate this shit up. Like, bro, I don't want to go nowhere where this many people hate me, especially when I know it's all because of the uh because of just counter yeah, it's just counterculture, bro. It's like it'd be one thing if they made this petition and you were going out there to say some shit that you could stand on by itself, but it's like, bruh, the only reason why you exist is because these people exist, because these people don't want you to speak. Charlie Kirk doesn't exist without liberals. Liberals can exist without conservatives. If you ask me, I don't know if that makes sense. It sounds good though. Um, yeah, man, it's just too much to like. Look at Jason Whitlock. Made Charlie Kirk his fucking profile picture. All these people are cowards. Nothing is going to come of this. They're just going to start tweeting more. That's pretty much it. All these people are cowards. They're not going nowhere. Like a fucking Michael Porter Jr. Rest in peace to Charlie. I never watched this stuff. Shut up. What are you talking about?
some gun deaths every single year so that we can have, I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
If there were no guns, you would be alive, Charlie, but you are the sacrificial lamb that you wanted to be. Oh my gosh, this video is so funny. Hey, 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 hey. Ah! Bro, oh my God, Twitter is too fucking funny. Oh my gosh. They call him a martyr, please. He will be forgotten by the time the ball kicks off tonight. But I don't have too much to say on this. I just wanted to talk about his rise, how I felt about him, um, why what happened happened, and why I don't think more of this will happen. Yeah. Be mindful what you say. If you know you're upsetting people, if that's your goal, then I don't know what else to tell you. But if that's not your goal and you're upsetting people, it's imperative that you are mindful and you try to find another way to get your message across without upsetting so many people. Because, like I said, we got freedom of speech, but not freedom of consequences. There's some people who will throw their life away to make sure that you pay a price for the things that you say that have enraged them. Like, share, subscribe. Not safe for work. Uncle P Show. I'm out.